music. Let's see if we can get this to work. My traditional Satan dance, something that I learned through killing babies, through sacrificing baby goats, through being mean to the elderly, through coveting other people's spaces, to completely ignoring that book, the book of Mark and the book of Matthew, which both talk about how we're pissing people off. Shut the fuck up. That's fine. Let's talk about what we actually read. Is it going to take us back? Turn it up. And now for my Satan dance. Oh, wrong song.
Ladies and gentlemen, we gathered here today on the 31st anniversary and commemoration of our fallen comrades who were executed in summer 1988 at the hands of the barbaric regime of Iran. The Islamic regime of Iran started the execution and incarceration of political prisoners and political activists from early time after taking power in Iran in February 1979. Ruhollah Khomeini came to power with a mission to finish what Shah failed to finish. Political opponents of Shah's regime were both in groups and individuals were recognized and counted by the Iranian people, and as a result of their resistance during the Shah's time, Iranian people became aware of their rights and their legitimate rights, civil rights and political rights. And when the regime changed, people were demanding these rights. We wanted the freedom of assembly, freedom of thought, freedom of writing. We want to have a political party to mobilize their members. But the Islamic Republic regime, from day one, started to oppose these demands. They organized hooligan groups. They called them Hezbollahi. They attacked political prisoners, political activists, parties. No, don't get it wrong, it's not Hezbollah. It's called Hezbollah. Islamic regime in Iran formed groups of hooligans who were gathered in Iran, attacked political activists, young activists, girls and young boys. They called them pro-Hezbollah. They called each other Hezbollahi. They attacked the gathering outside of universities, stabbed people, attacked with chains, and then within not more than 18 months, they started to arrest the political activists. So we got the executions, killing, tortures from day one. In 1980s, it was the peak of it. Large number of political activists, young men and women, educated people, intellectuals, doctors, nurses, lecturers of universities, teachers of high school, primary school teachers, all walk of life were arrested and put in prison. They took them through unfair judicial system. They take them before a Sharia court and what off. And there were questions very, very few times, and then they were sentenced to death. We don't know how many people were executed in 1980s. We still don't know how many mass graves and unknown graves do exist anymore. The significance of 1988 massacres was this. Almost 98% of people who were sentenced to death in summer 1988 were already sentenced to different imprisonment times. They were prisoners. They were official registered prisoners. They were taken before a committee. They were asked 2 or 3 questions, and then they sent to gallows. Questions were like this. Do you believe in God? Do you pray? Do you believe in Islamic Republic? And your answers were determined for your life. The whole entire killing was done to absolute secrecy. Prisoners who were taken before this committee were lied to. They were told they are taken before a committee to decide whether to release them. They even at the last minute of these executions, they denied. They didn't tell the prisoners where they're taking them. The current president of Islamic Republic is a member of this committee. Raisi is an official murderer who now is in charge of the country. He is proud of what he has done. He proudly defends killing people. He had interviewed on numbers of times and he said, we did it and we will do it again if it is necessary. None of the Iranian authorities has ever accepted any responsibility for atrocities committed in Iran since 1979. In the eyes of the Iranian judicial system, if you are against the regime, you are deemed to be killed. You are either unbelievers or heretics. You are anti-Iranian regime and they would consider you either with the religious charges or with the civil charges. You can be charged with criminal offenses of waging war against the security of a state, or you can be charged with the religious offenses of being inherent sort of heretics or unbelievers. Anyway, the sentence is death. In summer 88, some numbers between 5,000 to 12,000 political prisoners who had already been in prison and incarcerated were killed in a different way, by executions, by hanging, and by shooting squad. Their bodies were taken out of prison in lorries and some fridge containers. They took them to the unknown graves and buried them in a mass number. Families were never told what happened to their loved ones. They don't know why their political prisoners, the people who had already been sentenced, tried, and given certain numbers of imprisonment terms, were executed. They did not commit any offense while they were in prison. The only offense in the eyes of the Iranian government they committed was because they stood for their idea and they did not collaborate. We were victims of these atrocities. I am one of the few survivors of that wave of executions. I spent 7.5 years in prison from the age of 17. I was in the last year of high school when I was arrested. And I was kept in custody and in prison and sentenced to life imprisonment. Young boys of the age of 13 were executed in 1980s. Young girls of age of 14 were executed by the Iranian regime in 1980s. People who were of all ages were executed. Women were raped before the executions because they have this Sharia order not to execute virgin girls. They were raped. the people who committed this crime, they believed that they'd done a good job because they were following the orders of the mullahs. In the eyes of the Iranian regime and in the eyes of the Iranian judicial system, if you don't believe in what they believe, you are nothing. You don't have any rights whatsoever. They can keep you in prison for indefinite. You don't have any right of representations. In 1980s, no lawyers would dare to come to prison and demand to see their clients. They wouldn't even dare to say that they are representing anyone. Having a lawyer was not even contemplated in our dreams. We were laughing at the idea